Hi, welcome back to Then and Now. And it's Father's Day.
Yeah, it is.
So happy Father's Day. My
Absolutely.
yeah, my dad's been gone for 16 years.
Godly. That's what I guess mine has too. It's been about
But
I think they were about a couple of years
yeah,
apart and when they passed. I think
yeah.
mine went first and your dad was just a couple of years or years so after that.
Okay.
It's hard, isn't it?
It
These when
is.
Father's Day comes around, we really miss them, and it really makes us stop and think about the things that they went through.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about your dad?
Integrity.
Oh, yeah. And you shared some of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've got a lot going on. Got some changes. I'm probably I'll share it with next week once I know a little bit more. But I'm gonna probably start a new journey. Not Don't know exactly which way it's gonna go, and I had to make some really tough decision
mhm.
this last couple of weeks, and it was probably I'm fortunate enough that I've only had to make one really major life changing decision.
Mhm.
And this, last couple of weeks, I had to make the second hardest decision of my life. The first one being taking my father off life support. Will tell you
Oh.
how much this weighed on my heart. And to make that decision, and I'll try not to cry,
Yeah.
I had to think about my dad and think about what he would do in this situation.
Mhm.
And I was able. I made it. I took his advice or things that he taught me. And number one, I made the decision not emotionally. I mean, I didn't just make an emotional decision
Mhm.
and just fly and do it and not give it every thought, every really think about it. The
Yeah.
good, we talked to in the podcast. I thought about the consequences of my decision,
Mhm.
how it was going to affect me,
Mhm.
was going to affect my family, my
Mhm.
kids,
Mhm.
and what I wanted to do, because it's a part of what my actual future is going to hold. And
Right.
the main thing is the decision was so tough, but I made the right one. I chose me.
Good. Oh, good. That takes a lot of strength to do that
It
sometimes,
did.
and it can be very fearful. And
Very
but so
fearful.
yeah,
The unknown,
yeah,
particularly the unknown at our age.
yeah. I was going to say, right. It's not
It's
like
scary. It's
yeah,
scary.
yeah.
It's but I think about, the things that, my father reinvented himself. He actually reinvented himself several times
Mm-hmm.
during his life, and I remember all of
Uh
those.
huh. Sure. Sure.
He went and had a restaurant. He quit a
Well,
high paying job to opened
right.
up the
A
chili
chili barn.
barn. And then that didn't exactly, after 2 or 3 years, that didn't pan out. That was a struggle for him, my
Sure.
mother. And for some reason, they got into a clothing
Yeah, the
factory. He
chili barn
started
became the loft,
the
and
clothing, yeah,
yeah,
and then an actual, outlet store.
yeah, yeah. I love it.
They completely evolved, and then opened a business, retired, went back to work for a sewing machine company, uh, and worked there another 3 or 4 years, and quit there. And then at about, right, probably 5 years after, a few years after that,
Hmm.
he turned around and went into a partnership with my brother-in-law, doing something completely different, which was doing for working with the banks and mortgage
Uh huh.
companies back on foreclosures. And he would be back be in front of judges
Uh huh.
and attorneys, and completely, like I said, completely reinvented himself and worked up until he was about 82.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing stopped him, and he would pivot however he needed to.
Yes, he
Because
did.
that's a lot of different things to go from the corporate world to running the chili barn to
Yeah,
end up back in, doing a foreclosure business. And
and completely
yeah,
he completely
yeah.
evolved.
But, he when something wasn't right, he stood up for what was right. And I think that's what you're getting
Right.
back to.
Yes.
What's right for you,
Yeah.
especially at this stage in your
Something
life.
you believe
Yep.
in,
Yep.
that you have to just, like I said, you have to make that decision, and you have
Yeah.
to examine the good, the bad, and
Yeah.
the
And the
what can happen.
consequences if there are any, but
The
yeah. Yep.
consequences you have to, and never assume it's,
Yeah. Or maybe it's not even a consequence because I don't. It
it
wouldn't
is
be.
a
It would just be a change, something different
yeah,
that you would adjust
a
to.
huge
It
change.
would, but yeah, you'd adjust to it. So we'll get into more that later after
Yeah.
you've kind of wrapped this up and see where you're going.
As long as many years as we've been friends, and remember your dad so
Oh,
vividly. Sweetest man. Just I can't just such a sweet man. I don't think I really ever knew that much about your dad.
oh wow.
I think we spent a lot of time avoiding your
Yeah, we
parents.
did. Who wants to
both,
be around the
both
parents?
our parents,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. For
but
different
yeah.
reasons.
So
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned integrity with your dad. I think with when I think of my dad, I just think of, and you've already touched on it, kindness.
yes.
I mean, I never heard him say an unkind word or criticize anybody my entire life. And there were certainly instances where I felt he would have been justified in doing so. But so that's particularly what I remember. And I know we've talked a little bit about the dynamics of my family with, you know, my mom and then my dad. My dad was kind and,
Yeah.
just gentle and everything. But yeah, he was interesting. He, several stories about him, but one story that you may not know, I don't know. He worked, at LTV
Right.
there in Grand Prairie. And, but he was an East Texas boy. Man, I
Okay.
tell you what, you could take, you know, we had to have a farm. So, we lived in the city during the week, and every weekend we would go down to a farm. And we had several
Okay.
different ones. Yeah, like in Van, down in East Texas and stuff. So that was his thing. So at one time, when I was 12, just finishing up sixth grade, he decided that he built a house down on our land. And so he wanted to move down there. So when I finished sixth grade, the end of that school year, we left Grand Prairie, moved down to, I'll call it Van. It was down in East
In
Texas.
the
It wasn't proper Van, but down in the country there. My dad still kept his job at Grand Prairie, bought that little two-seater airplane. So that
uh,
was his commute. He would drive, it was about 20 miles from our farm to Mineola Airport. He'd get in his little two-seater plane, fly up to Grand Prairie Airport. I don't know. We didn't have an Uber back then.
no, there was no
This is
Uber.
probably 68, 69, something like that. But so I don't know. Maybe he kept another little car at the airport, then drove to, to work, drive back to the airport, fly back home, drive the 20 miles to the farm. And I can remember being on the farm and it'd be like 7 at night and I'd start getting worried because, my dad was flying in his little airplane and I'd wait to see his car coming up the dirt road with all the
Oh.
dirt dust flying in the back. So that was one thing. I don't know if you knew that he did that.
I didn't. And one thing I want to ask about your dad that I didn't know
Uh-huh.
until probably around Jonathan's birthday,
Uh-huh.
when you're talking about your dad wrote a book.
Oh, he did. Yeah. So he has done, in his own little way, he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, he was, flying his airplane. He did write a book. He went into real estate when, things at LTV after so many, I think like 25 years, he got laid off during maybe the late 70s,
He reinvented
early 80s. He
himself.
really reinvented himself again. Yep, exactly. So he did. My dad was I think we talked about this too, very religious, very strong Christian man. And he wrote a bunch of short stories, but he did write a book. It's fiction, but it's kind of like on end times or something like that. So Yeah,
I
that's
found that
interesting.
so I found it so interesting
Mhm,
that I did,
mhm,
like you said, he was such a kind, soft-spoken man.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
you really are you're so much like your dad.
Oh, you think?
Yeah,
Ah,
do.
well,
I
that
think you were.
I'll
No offense to your sisters, or Roger, but you know what? I think you were his favorite.
Oh. Well, I was always told you're the first granddaughter. You're the first, I was the
Right.
first girl born in a very, very long time into the family. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I had that time with my dad when he was doing some of these fun things like flying and stuff like that. Where I was older than my sisters. My
Right.
my
Yeah.
my next
Yeah.
sister's 5 years
Right.
younger, and my brother was already 5 years older, off doing his own thing. So
Right.
it was kind of me and my dad.
And your dad did photography too, didn't he? Because
He was an artist,
is that
actually.
what it was? Because
Yeah.
I remember him taking some of the most beautiful. Because you were such a beautiful young woman. You really were.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness. No.
and I remember him taking you out and taking some when you're going through
Oh,
your little
the
modeling stage,
yeah, that was
and
actually a yeah. Dad did do
that
that.
was
Like
in the
yeah,
70s, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And took some absolutely
Um,
gorgeous,
mm,
just gorgeous
yeah,
pictures.
that's funny. Well, you look around my house. I've got uh, chalks and watercolors of his that he did. So he was also an artist. Artist.
Oh,
Which funny story. I bet you didn't know this. Do you remember the Grand Prairie Daily News
well, yeah.
paper? Okay. Yeah, back when newspapers were so cool. Anyway, my dad once a week did the. You could call it a political cartoon or editorial cartoon or whatever. But on the front page of the Grand Prairie Daily News every Saturday or Sunday, probably Sunday maybe, he would have his little cartoon there. And it could be anything. It could be kids getting out of school and mom's getting ready for the summer with the kids home, or I remember the street there in Grand Prairie. I couldn't remember where it was, but it was trying to cross the train tracks ran right through
Right. The
town, and traffic would back up really
right.
bad. So I remember one of the cartoons was about traffic. When are the city officials going to do something about this traffic and stuff? So yeah,
Oh yeah, that
somewhere
was
there's that notebook of all of his cartoons. I think one of
oh
my siblings have it, or maybe my
wow.
son.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I had no
yeah.
idea.
So very involved, like we talked about before, in politics and in the city. He was an artist. He was a pilot. He was an author. Um, but most of all, he was just
A great
a
dad.
great dad. He really was a sweet dad. What about? Do you ever remember getting in trouble with your dad and
Oh,
how he
yeah,
handled some of
the
that?
worst trouble I ever got with my dad. I mean, I hate to even tell it.
Oh, I have some.
And
So go ahead.
I think it involved
I'm
you.
sure it did. Go ahead.
We all wanted to go to a concert
Mhm.
at UTA, and I can't remember who we were even
I
gonna
don't know.
go
I remember seeing
see.
America there.
And I was gonna drive. And
What
I
did you have your hardship license?
yeah, really. Well, it didn't matter what kind of license it was. I was not going to be allowed to drive to that concert.
Oh.
And I called my dad a terrible name.
Oh.
A terrible name.
Oh dear.
Needless to say, I wasn't a runner, but on
You were running down the street.
on that evening, I was a sprinter. And I think my dad was behind me.
Oh, I bet. Oh my
And I
goodness.
was probably, I was 15 or 16.
Oh my goodness.
And I was we laugh about another friend who lived next door. And
Uh,
the story that I remember is maybe it was your mom telling my mom. I don't remember.
mhm.
And it was about her mom, his wife or her mom chasing her dad down the street.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh gee.
so I guess I wasn't the only one who had a
No.
little life left in him. But yeah, that was the absolute worst. And then I remember, I mean, I was not a my parents used to laugh and say they don't even remember my brother and sister growing up because
Because
I
there was
I
Connie.
absorbed so much of their time and their
It's
energy
probably the friends you were hanging out
and
with.
their issues that
Yeah.
they don't, they
Yeah.
just they vaguely remember. The sweetest one I remember is I got so upset. Dad had bought Cindy golf clubs, and they bought Chuck something else. And when
Oh.
we were in this store, there was this ugly monkey. It hung from I think they showed it hanging from
A
hung.
live monkey?
It had no, it
Oh.
had little hands that
Oh.
you could connect and
Oh.
stuff.
Okay.
And I felt that if I couldn't, I needed, and I wanted that monkey.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I don't know what grade I was in. Probably 12. No,
Yeah. Probably a senior
probably,
in high school.
yeah, probably my second year of high school or second, you would
Kindergarten.
know. Yeah, my second year of kindergarten. No, we lived over on Egyptian.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I cried so hard. And I don't think it was so much about the wanting the monkey
Yeah.
as it was wanting that attention from my dad. And
Yeah.
when he
Oh.
came home from work the next day or whatever, and I was in my room, probably still pouting
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, um, he hooked that. He went and he bought that monkey and
Oh.
hooked it to a coat hanger. And so
Oh.
when I opened my door, it scared the
It's
shit out. It scared the shit out. No, no, but it was right down there, and it was there.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I remember, and that the funniest story
Yeah.
I have about my dad was we were a wild bunch. We
Mm-hmm.
were a wild bunch, and my parents were down at was Massey's Furniture. It was way down on Beltline. I don't know. We were
Mm-hmm.
there and they were looking at furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's favorite way to discipline us is not necessarily a spank. He was a thumper.
Oh,
It's
like that?
a thumper
Yeah.
on the head. And we
Oh,
didn't sit there.
wow.
We were in a store or whatever.
Uh-huh.
There was no spanking, but there was you would feel it. It would just, it'd make your ears ring. And so we were in Macy's, and my dad went up to my mother and said, "We need to get out of here. We gotta go. We gotta go now." Mother's like, gathered us up and get in the car. And my dad looks at my mother because going, "Fred,
Yeah.
what's going on?" And he said there was this little kid running around, running through the furniture, and Dad was a tall, big man, and I
Mm-hmm.
guess that he thought it was probably Chuck or one of us.
He thumped him? A stranger's kid?
Yeah, he said he ran, but the kid, just ran by him, and Dad had that thumping down to a
Yeah.
fine art, and I guess all he could see was just this little kid
Right.
in a run, and he. And I don't know, it was probably more shocked
Yeah.
that kid that he thumped on the head or my
Right.
dad.
Of
And he
course.
got out. And so anyway, if you're out there and you got thumped at
By a
Massey's,
stranger.
by a stranger at Massey's, furniture
was
store, I just want you to know he felt really
Yeah.
bad.
Oh my
He
goodness.
felt really bad about that.
Oh, that's funny.
What's the funniest thing moment you remember?
Funny. Well, I've got the sweetest thing I know, and then my dad,
Yeah.
the way he disciplined. I only remember one time really, really getting in trouble with my dad, and it was from church. We had gone to church, and I think I had turned around and was making faces at the kid behind us or something like that, and I wasn't too terribly old. And I remember him saying, "You're gonna, you misbehaved in church. You're gonna get a spanking when you get home." And, I was mortified, but of course, we go in there and he doesn't spank me. It's just like, you just need to not do that anymore. Anyway, so there's that. And then when probably the same age, 15 or something like that, I think Mom found cigarettes in my purse.
Oh, that's.
And I remember him coming in, and he was always just so down. He woke me up in the morning and sat down at the end of the bed and said, found these cigarettes, and and I really, you shouldn't do that because your lungs right now are pure and clean and healthy, and you just should not be doing this to yourself.
If he
Well,
if he
which is
only knew that
I
was.
know. Totally opposite of my mom charging at me. I'm going to kill
Yeah,
you.
mine did
And my
that.
dad, being so
Yeah.
calm and gentle. But
She said, "Oh no, Dad, it's not that smoke's not going to hurt me because I'm taking therapeutic. I'm smoking pot to help."
I'm only smoking cigarettes so I can inhale the
Yeah, so I
marijuana.
can to help the lungs
Yeah,
expand and
right.
mature.
Yeah, so I can really inhale
It's
that.
very therapeutic
And that's the truth, though. I mean,
with
I
the
don't know if I've said
therapeutic
that.
for the
No, that's the truth. That my neighbor friend, our other
right.
friend, I won't mention her name, that we literally bought cigarettes at first to learn how to inhale, so then we could smoke some pot.
And then, well, I didn't know that. Y'all
Mhm.
taught my first cigarette was
Well,
with
by
you,
the time your
and we,
first cigarette was with me.
yeah, and we'd smoke. We'd walk down
Oh, we
to.
got to where we smoked all the time.
Well, I didn't. I couldn't. I still could. I still can't inhale. Like I said, but
The drugstore to get the
no,
cigarettes.
we did not. We would walk from my house. You would come to my house, and from my house we would walk to Edelman's.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how that. I don't think they sold us cigarettes there though. But I remember
you
we
could
always
buy
walked
them.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'd pay somebody to go in
Oh
and
no,
to
you
get
didn't have to do
them.
that at the time. I
Okay,
would
I
even
wasn't.
send in my younger sister to get them if I just didn't want to get out of the car.
Oh, see, golly.
Oh, 46 cents for a pack of what do we smoke? Marlboro Lights.
Marlboros. Oh, I don't
Lights.
think were they lights.
I remember
And then
lights.
your
But
dad said you weren't concerned about
I
your
know.
lungs.
Right. So anyway, I remember that. But probably the sweetest thing to this day, every Valentine's I think of this. My dad every single Valentine's Day would buy my mom, and there's three of us girls, some Valentine's candy. But what the sweet memory of it is that, especially later when maybe he was having financial struggles and we didn't, he anyway, he was kind of on a budget, let's just say it, put it that way. He would still go to the drugstore, and it was probably, I think it used to be Eckerd's
Right.
up there
Yes.
by Buddy's.
Yeah, buddies.
Yeah,
Buddies,
Buddy's
yeah.
grocery store and everything like that. And buy this little bitty heart shape with probably like 4 pieces of candy in it. And it had
Aw.
it had the price on it because you couldn't peel it off. It was printed on the thing. And I think it was like 59 cents or something like that. But
How
every
sweet.
single, even after I grew up, I got married, and every Valentine's Day I would have that little box of candy. Price went up. I think the last time I saw it, it was 99 cents.
Oh.
But it was
Oh,
still.
that is so sweet.
Yeah, he was just
Aw.
sweet. He was my biggest fan.
I know he was. I
He
do.
was.
I definitely remember that.
Yeah, I struggled because I had one parent that wasn't my fan and one parent that was.
Yeah,
So.
mine are just. I had one parent. They argued with each other who was going to have to be my fan. Oh no!
not true.
I had her yesterday. She's your problem today.
That's not true.
What did she do now? Oh.
I do remember your dad though, just being thinking how big and strong he was, because he how tall was he?
He was a big man. He was probably 6. He was over 6.
Oh, he was
feet.
over 6
Yeah,
foot,
yeah.
for
He was
sure.
about
Yeah.
6'1". Maybe I don't think he was. I think probably 6'1".
Yeah,
I would say.
that big
Yeah.
and strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did put a. He did. They, like I said, then they were a member of the, and they didn't say a whole lot, but there were some months they did when we would go to the. Remember Great Southwest Golf Club?
Oh,
And we would go to the
oh.
golf course, and we would order. And all you had to do was just sign. You signed for it,
Absolutely.
and would get Shirley Temples because they
Yes.
couldn't do us, but we'd have those great Shirley Temples, and we'd order
Cheeseburgers and
hamburgers,
French
fries,
fries. Yeah,
and and I can remember getting in trouble for.
because we ran the bill up too
Oh
much.
yes,
We did it all the time.
We did it all the time,
And then I'm surprised they
And-
didn't kick us
And
out.
who even thought about? Yeah,
Yeah.
and remember how nice the ladies' dressing room or whatever
Mhm,
that was.
mhm.
Wasn't anything like the men. The men's was really supposedly really
Oh,
fancy.
really? Yeah.
And but yeah, my dad was like I said, he was an golfer, great golfer,
Yeah.
just a really good golfer, and any sport he did, he took really serious. And my younger son particularly was really good in sports,
Yeah.
and when he started playing golf in junior high school, my dad signed him up for the and he was really my dad was so proud because he loved the golf game.
Sure. Hmm.
And my dad stepping up to, the plate because his father wasn't around.
Uh-huh.
And he joined put him in the junior PGA tournaments for
Wow.
juniors. And he would win, and just my dad would drive him to these tournaments. He
Aw.
got to where he was so funny because Michael was so good. I think there's an article in the Grand Prairie Daily
Oh,
News that
nice.
I have
Uh-huh.
about my son
Uh-huh.
being in junior high school and winning this huge tournament,
Wow.
playing against seniors.
Uh-huh.
And so, but my dad was so involved with Michael and really all of his sports, but particularly golf as he got older, that when Mike was in junior high, he played on the senior golf team at Grand Prairie High
I
School.
did not know that.
And my dad was so involved that when the golf coach wasn't available, my dad would step up to the plate
I love
and
that.
coach all the golf and coach the golf
I
team.
love that. I bet he did too. I
Yeah,
bet he loved that.
he did. He just loved it. He played such an important part. In fact, when he had the chili barn, somebody from Grand Prairie that was older than us
Uh-huh.
that worked there, and contacted my sister because they went to school
Uh-huh.
together, and just called to tell her that, and it was so sweet. Called to say, I just want to tell you how much your dad gave me my very first job,
Wow.
and talked about to tell her about some of the stuff that dad, and that how much
The impact he made
that
on
he yeah
someone's
that
life.
the impact,
Yeah.
and how much he really
Yeah.
appreciated. That was so special and touching for Cindy, and,
Yeah.
for all of us
Right, right,
to,
right, right.
to hear. But one of the funny things is, this is so funny. I don't know if he'd really appreciate me telling this, but one time I guess he pulled up over to Chuck's. He'd washed the car,
Mhm.
whatever. My mom was sitting in the front seat or whatever, and he had the car all just a shining, and we was waiting on, I think, Chuck to come out. He said, and there's a spot on the window, and Dad's going,
Oh my
and my
gosh.
dad yelled. My mom goes, Fred, you realize that's bird shit?
Oh
Yeah. So bless his heart, he went to his grave with
no.
that one. He never got to live that one down.
No, no, no,
Every time he'd
no.
get onto us, or we were somewhere, he was going to irritate us, we'd go,
Of course, your mom waited till you almost got it all off.
yeah, exactly. Wait until it was done and it had been
Right.
fully digested, and looking good again. Well,
Oh my
yeah. This
goodness.
Fred, you do know that's him from looking.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Oh my
so that was a
gosh.
really funny moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. We both had good dads though.
we did have good dads.
Yeah.
I'm very proud. My dad was always there for me.
Yeah, he was.
He was really proud, and I relied on him so much, particularly when I started my career in sales,
Mhm.
because he started his career in sales.
Yes. Yes.
And so I relied on him when I was closing, a big deal, and on customers, and he
Mhm.
gave me explained to me the thing with your customers that you need to know, that you'd be surprised. He said that he would drive around when he'd go calling his customers
Mhm.
in sales, and he kept cards, little
Okay.
cards. And when he could come out, he would write his notes. Not the notes that particularly what that customer was buying or what they did, but notes that
Right.
he had learned about what this customer enjoys doing, the customer's
Oh, the
family,
family.
different
Yes.
things, and how important that was. And I picked that up,
Yeah.
and that is so important because I told, even in my career now,
Mhm.
I had put a note in
Uh-huh.
about talking to a customer and about something that was going on, the fact that with their children. So the
Mhm.
next time they would call, that was flagged, that, to say, well, how did your kid's soccer go? And you left early the last time we talked. How did the soccer game go that
And
you
everybody
remember?
loves that.
Yeah, and a customer, just the other day I was talking to, and he was saying, "Well, I'm kind of concerned about my order coming in too soon because I'm taking this trip, and I don't want it to show up while I'm out of town." And so I did a follow up with him, and he called, and ask a question, and I asked him, I said, "Oh, well, did you enjoy your vacation? Did you enjoy your trip?"
Oh, perfect.
And Dad he taught me so much, and he said the other thing he taught me that I've always taken to heart, and I tell everybody, and I did this in a note for a sales meeting long ago. I said, my dad always said, when you're particularly in sales, that as long as you're doing the best you can,
Mhm.
the numbers tell all.
Oh.
As long as your numbers are up,
Uh-huh.
that tells everyone
Wow.
exactly what you're
Great
doing. And it really, and
advice.
during my career,
Yeah.
I was so fortunate by what my dad had
Yeah.
taught me, and my numbers always stayed up, and always really that, and the loyalty of customers, really made me in the beginning of my career just totally skyrocket.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I totally,
So you're like your dad too.
I
You
think,
are.
yes, I
Maybe out of all three of you guys, you think you're probably more like your dad?
probably,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably, but then I haven't got that little bit of my mom.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah,
That we
I got
struggle
to,
against every day,
yeah, I
right?
got a little, yeah, 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 yeah. Two pairs of my kids, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I struggled, but not. But just kidding. My mother took,
Yeah, your
my
mom was
mother's
sweet.
mother, my mother, took the brunt of probably all of our, adventures and our. Like one day, my dad got on a. When we were young, he had a boating. He really into boats, and we
Okay.
bought this big cruiser when
Uh-huh.
he'd take his kids out and go. And Mom was like me; she didn't know how to swim
Oh, okay.
and wasn't real fond of water.
Yeah.
And my dad, who skied and was always really like I said, pretty athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dad, they were docking the boat. They were going to pull it out, and he needs somebody to kind of push it or align it. I don't know that much about
Right.
boats
Sure.
or how
Sure.
they goes, but he just told my mother, he goes, "Oh, he wanted her to jump in and to kind of guess give the boat a little
Sure.
shove or whatever to line it up."
Sure.
And he said, "That just jump over and do it." He was really irritated. He goes, "The water was up to your waist. It's just up to your waist." And she's like, "Fred, I'm not doing it. I'm not jumping in." He was so mad. He got at that end of that boat and he jumped in that water and he went,
Oh no.
I came up to the top.
Yeah.
breathing,
Say, oh, sorry.
breathing prayer.
Oh
I'll
my
never
goodness.
forget that.
Oh.
That was not a.
Oh.
But he was really talented about it. He could build anything. He actually
Okay.
built a boat. He built a trailer.
Wow.
He and became from because coming from the era of the depression,
Mm-hmm.
that they had no
Yeah.
choice, you
Yeah.
know. And Dad tells her, he said, "My dad was a pilot. He and his brothers, all
I didn't
three,
know
four,
that.
yeah, flew. They
Wow.
flew. He hadn't done it for years. This
Yeah.
is when he was
Okay.
younger.
Okay. Yeah.
And at one particular, he was a daredevil. And at
Uh-oh.
one particular point, he was flying, and they were having a. This is way back. I
Mhm.
mean, this is probably in the either early 50s or 40s,
Uh-huh.
and he out flying, and he there was a carnival in,
Mm-hmm.
and back then at these small airports they didn't have lights.
Right.
There
Okay.
was there was no lights or
Uh-huh.
anything. And he said he can remember flying down, and he and his brothers would dogfight because that was something that was really big, I
That's
guess,
crazy.
from
Well,
being,
sure.
being back
Yeah.
in World War
Right.
II.
Right. Right.
They did that.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, Dad said he could remember going down, and they'd look again, turn around and look up at the Ferris wheel.
Crazy.
Well, this one night at day, he got really too carried away, and when he was headed back, it got dark too early, and he was going to have to land.
Oh no.
And he said that was probably the scariest thing. And he said then as he got closer, he looked, and my uncle um, had gathered everybody together with their cars, and so he could land, and had lined all the cars up on the runway with the
That's
lights. Isn't that
amazing.
something? So he
Yes.
was looked out after his little brother. My dad was the youngest,
Oh, wow.
and and he to land the
That's
plane.
crazy. That's amazing. You know, my dad on one of his commutes from Mineola back up here ran out of gas, and he landed on the surface road on one of the highways. I don't know which one it was, but
Oh,
that was another cartoon that he did of, you know, him landing on the side of the service road.
oh.
I mean, now he'd probably. I mean, I don't even guess he got a ticket or anything, but
What, speeding ticket?
well, you know what I mean. I mean, how dangerous is that?
No kidding. That's
Uh,
dangerous. That's even really dangerous.
yeah.
Lately we've been hearing on the news all
Yes.
these.
Yes.
I mean, look at that huge jet that's
Mhm.
trying to land that
Right. Right.
skim that truck.
Yeah. No, I'd like to know more about it. I don't know why I don't know the details of it. I don't even know how to find them out. I just know it happened, but I'd like to know where it happened. And oh my, you have to take back off.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know,
My
shoot.
dad's favorite story that we probably told it a million times, especially when he got older. He had to tell. He and his cousin were out flying, and his cousin was in the back seat of.
Mhm.
And back then, the planes didn't have they were open,
Right. Mhm.
and they were flying, and Dad was having a great time, and he went to, giving his cousin the ride of a lifetime,
Yeah.
and so when he went to take the plane and go to swish it around to do it, his cousin's seat came unlocked, the actual seat, and he went and it kind of so it was hanging out the top of the airplane,
It's a miracle
and
these people are alive.
he said he looked in the back, and he said there was his cousin just a fight in the air. And he said, I mean, and then he moved it back around, but late after everything was okay,
Yeah.
he just always, that was a story they both always remember and laughed about. It got
Now
Dad,
that once they're on the ground.
once you're on the ground, it
Yeah.
wasn't too funny then,
Right.
and but yeah, that was Dad's favorite story that
Oh
he
my
remembered, was
gosh.
he and his cousin flying and
I,
trying to
Connie,
show off.
yeah, all these years I did not know that about your dad.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's kind of cool that
Yeah,
both of our
kind of
dads
dads had
did.
that, and
Yeah.
yeah, but that's yeah, he really he loved it. He loved it. He
Yeah.
and his brothers. I know my uncle had a plane for years and
Mhm.
years. In fact, I guess the last time he flew was, he was older, and he flew, and he had a Cessna, and went to land, and he forgot to put the landing gear down.
Oh, good gracious.
He made it fine,
Okay,
and I don't
good.
know if that's why,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Yeah.
I guess that's when you really,
Yeah.
because he, like Dad, he was very determined, and
Yeah.
very, they all four of the boys.
Yeah.
I didn't know my one uncle, his that was just, he was younger than or older than my dad. My dad was the baby.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it goes so back to his dad, had an airplane and had a friend and they would fly, and he flew with his friend, would you see this on TV, do the
All the
acrobats.
stunts?
Yeah, walk.
That's crazy.
And Dad said they would get out and do that and be drinking, that he can remember as a
Gosh.
kid. I mean, he didn't do. I mean, go there,
Right.
but watching his dad fly and do that, and somebody walking, and
That's just
is that not just
unbelievable.
crazy?
Yeah.
So there's,
Yeah.
we're
You
so blessed.
We are so blessed for sure. And we have little, I don't know if you have little touchstones. I call them touchstones of memory items. Like one thing I carry in my wallet is my dad's pilot license.
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
So I think that's just my little touchstone with my dad. Just like with Kenyon now, I have a little bit of his hair that I keep in my little
Aw.
thing when I go for runs or walks or whatever. But anyway, yeah. I was thinking of something else, but I lost my train of thought. So
Was it about your dad flying?
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't remember what I was going to say. But anyway, that's all.
But yeah.
Oh,
So
no,
this-
what I was going to say. Sometimes the difficulty, you're talking about your grandfather and
Right.
crazy things he did and everything. And my dad was the middle brother of three boys. And my grandfather, my dad's dad, died when my dad was 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had been in the hospital And then they released him from the hospital, and they were on a train going back, who knows, probably Sulphur Springs or something out in East Texas. And he died of appendicitis. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but I guess what I'm coming back to is my grandmother. I think she married when she was 14, had 3 boys. So I think she was like 18 or 19, widowed with 3 young boys. And to her credit, the boys that she raised turned out to be such great men. And my dad turned out to be a great father, even though he did not have a father in his life.
You know, my dad used to tell me, my dad and my grandfather on my dad's side and my grandmother divorced, and there was no, this is like back in the what,
Oh
30s or
yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the 4 boys, and they divorced, and I don't think he had a huge role in their life. He kind of would come
Okay.
kind of
In and
pretty
out.
much, yeah. And it was being during the depression
Mm-hmm.
and things. But my dad always said, and why, even with my kids,
Mm-hmm.
by stepping up to the plate and basically
Being their
really
father
being their
figure.
father
Mm-hmm.
figure without a doubt.
Yeah.
And he said that he always knew that he never wanted that for, number one, his kids. And then when I had my boys, he certainly did not want that for them. And they say, and they'll talk about it, that he was probably the best dad that they could have ever asked for.
Yes.
They just idolized him.
I love that. I love that.
So,
So, to our dads.
you know what? To our dads.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.